Watching the Packers beat the Bears again was glorious enough, but the Easter eggs and the hidden gems that shook free on Monday on social media, even more delicious. And I saw a lot of content out there. And the content king himself from CheeseheadTV.com joins us now. Aaron Nagler, who you will hear today, noon to 2, carry the G radio. So our new Tuesday wrinkle. Good morning, Mr. Nagler. How are you?
Good morning, Zabe. Hey, does Victory Monday, is that allowed to carry over into a Victory Tuesday? Is that am I allowed? Can that be a thing? I'm going to make it a thing.
Since we're not coaches, right, Butchie, we will allow it. Coaches have a 24-hour rule.
The 24-hour thing, right? Yeah.
Since we're media, you got to rub it in as long as you can.
Right? I mean, my thing is always, well, we've always done at Cheesehead TV is these 2 days are when you get to kind of marinate in it, right? Then Wednesday comes and they're back on the practice field. You get the first injury report for the week. And then, okay, now I've turned the page and I look forward to the game in Atlanta. But right now, I'm still reveling in the Bears sucking. It's pretty nice.
All right, we're going to talk about Bears-Packers, but I got to get you on record, Nagler, about last night and the Rodgers thing. I'll give you my quick down and dirty on it. I don't care about the pick, high second, low first, either or. We had an upgrade coupon. It's no good anymore. Throw it away. Whatever. I have nothing against Rodgers personally. It sucks for him. However, I didn't like how he left here. He could have gone cleanly. The lie about his cell service really rubbed me the wrong way because it was elaborate and unnecessary. Him suddenly deciding to be buddies with young teammates did not rub me the right way with the Jets. Him suddenly deciding not to screw his new team against the salary cap rubbed me the wrong way. And it just kind of went on and on that. I didn't like the vibe of it, but he was living his best life. He was very happy. And then this happens, which maybe is a message to all of us, Nagler, to get to living because someday we'd be dying. I'll hang up.
You're going full Shawshank on me. I like it. Well, here's my thing. I mean, I hear what you're saying. I understand it. But to your last point, the idea that Rodgers was definitely in a really good headspace, apparently, right? Who knows as far as what's actually happening behind the scenes, what's these guys are thinking when they go home at night, etc. I can't speak to that, obviously. But it did appear he was in a really good spot and rejuvenated and excited to be with this new team and new teammates, what have you. That whole aspect of it really sucks. And I feel for the guy. I understand what you're saying about the way he left. And it's always messy, right? It was messy with Brett. It was messy with Aaron. Hopefully it's not messy with Jordan when his time's up, but who knows?
If he's good, it will be. If it's good, it will be.
Yeah, right.
I don't think it was as messy with Favre, but that in a second. Our conversation with Aaron Nagler brought to you by Miller Lite, Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin. There is a difference. And by Rodgers Behavioral Health.
Right.
At least Favre didn't lie his way out of town. At least Favre.
What?
Yeah.
Zabe, I'm going to have to ask you to sit back on this one, buddy.
All right, let me hear it.
It's not a question of lying or not lying, but Brett said all sorts of things on the way out the door.
Did Favre lie?
I don't know. Brett swears he didn't to this day. We're really going to talk about Brett Favre and lying right now? It's way too early for me.
Mississippi because he thought he was going to retire 90 different.
Brett Favre was indecisive. Brett Favre was indecisive. Brett Favre was vindictive. He never lied.
Yeah, you say he's indecisive. I say, was he though? Did you really know what he wanted all along? I mean, this is my point. I understand what you're saying again about Rodgers and leaving and all that. I understand it. The thing for me as a Packers fan, I went through all those emotions months ago, right? As far as we made merch at Cheesehead TV. Thanks, 12. Thank you for all you did. And that's genuine and it's sincere. I do appreciate everything he did. But he was playing for the Jets last night. I didn't, it does affect the Packers in the sense that, they're probably not going to get that first round pick. And that's fine. I understand. The slotting is probably minimal as far as the difference. They'll get a second round pick instead of a first. Yeah. What you really want is that first so you can get that extra year of control with the fifth-year option. That's probably out the window now. But hey, as Andrew Brandt just pointed out this morning on Twitter, a pick swap that they got Lucas Van Ness with, ended up getting, and 2 second-round picks is not bad for 4 plays, which is what Rodgers played last night.
Well, I think that's the thing. On my end of it, one of my things, like I was sad. I like seeing greatness play. Like whether it's a Packer uniform or not, I enjoy that, and we were taken of that because of the injury. That being said, when you look at it, like Brian Gutekunst and the Packers didn't know that an Achilles was going to happen. They went with their gut of what they saw with Jordan Love, and what we saw in week 1 of Jordan Love was pretty darn good.
Pretty good.
The right decision. And you're seeing the draft picks grow and develop. Like, I've been tough on Brian Gutekunst because I'm like, your first round draft picks haven't turned out well right away, but they've developed and they've played well. And now all of a sudden you look at what they're doing. It's like, oh my goodness, maybe, you've built in this 1 year to develop. And then by year 2, they've taken off. And so far we've seen that with a lot. What is your thought process on what you saw in week 1 with Jordan Love and then also with the young players? We saw Vanessa with a sack. You saw Wyatt, what he's like. I mean, that development's been really, really crucial.
Well, the thing is, I think your point there exactly is spot on, being that 2023 was always going to be the turning of the page, but also a foundational season as far as the new chapter goes, right? Yes, Jordan's been in the league for 3 years, but it's his first year as a starter. You could kind of see that in that game because he's playing with so many young guys. I mean, Toure is probably the most, experienced guy out there along with Romeo Doubs that he's throwing to. He knows the offense. He knows where the ball has to go. He can play in the rhythm of the offense. And that coupled with so much upside, talent, promise, that you have to play. They have to play together. I mean, I think we saw a bit of both worlds where, there was real excitement and there was real productivity on both sides of the ball. But then you also saw stretches where it was really frustrating, couldn't really convert, wasn't very efficient. I think that's going to be the case all year long. The exciting part is like, that's the start. This is hopefully where they grow from. My goodness, that you can't ask for more as a Packers fan. Like, this is off to the singular best start you could probably hope for.
This defensive line, though, mercy. They are just coming in waves now. This is the layering effect, and this is what shopping at Tiffany's, a.k.a. University of Georgia, does for you, right?
Right.
Go get the good stuff.
Go get some athletes,
Alabama or Georgia.
I mean, they know how to play ball. There's no doubt about that. They've been well coached, but you take it to that next level. I mean, Devontae Wyatt is the perfect example of a guy who we saw flashes last year, but that was a very different player. That's the guy we saw in training camp as far as taking that jump. And I'm not gonna sit here and say he's dominant yet. I don't think that's the case, but he's trending that way. He's a major problem. And you put him alongside Kenny Clark, like we saw for much of Sunday afternoon. Oh, baby. Teams are going to have to start game planning for him. And that's a testament to a guy. Definitely.
What is the most exciting or thing or player right now on defense to you?
Oof. That's a really good question. It's funny because I think Wyatt is the obvious answer here just because of his explosiveness. You saw him on that big sack. I'd probably go with Devontae Wyatt, but man, there's so many choices. I loved Enigbari. Like, he may not have had a huge game, but I thought he played very, very well when you go back and watch the tape. I think, no joke, I think Darnell Savage played his best game under Joe Barry so far. I mean, that was night and day compared to what we saw last year as far as decisiveness, physicality, production. That was the best Darnell's played since he's played in this Joe Barry scheme.
I wanted to talk to you, Nags, about Showtime 33, Aaron Jones. First of all, loved your graphic that you put up. Have you seen this man? He's missing.
Right.
Is this, and now obviously they brought him back second half. He comes out and then he had, as he described it, a bite at the hamstring, just a bite. Assuming that all ends up being okay, is this going to be something we're worrying about all season of usage again with Aaron Jones?
Probably. And I think the Packers will turn around and tell you, look at that bite, look at that injury as proof of why we have to be judicious with how we use him.
But that could happen on any play.
Right.
But not with certain people. Like, they believe certain people injure in different
So what are they going to do? Tell Aaron Jones to not run so fast?
No. That's not it. It's just they're going to limit stuff. and they're
Do
not going to use them as much.
Injuries happen at a greater rate over 10 carries versus over 5 versus over 20?
Show me. You'd have to ask the doctor. You'd have to ask the doctor. I will say this though: what does frustrate me, and to Josh's point, and this is why I made that graphic on Twitter during the game, is okay, fine. You want to limit him. I understand that. But it's very apparent that when he's in there and the offense runs through him, you score points. More often than not, you're leading to touchdowns when you're focusing on Aaron Jones as your kind of main contributor in a drive. So let's do that multiple times in the first half, build up a lead, then you can rest him. Then you can hammer AJ into the line and start throwing the ball around to try and keep the ball away from the opponent and run the clock, whatever. Why? I don't understand why they feel the need to go out there in the first drive of the game, very clearly drive down the field, use Aaron Jones, score a touchdown. Awesome. Away we go. And then they're like, okay, we got to limit him. And it's up 7. We got 7 points for the entire first half right until the end. It drives me nuts.
I have a theory on this. I have a theory on why. And I agree, it is maddening and perplexing as to why this happens. But I believe it's the play caller's dilemma, that coaches who consider themselves to be good play callers, and I think LaFleur is, have this huge sort of Cheesecake Factory menu of plays that they have lovingly crafted throughout the week, right? With personnel groupings and guys they want to get touches, right?
Yep.
So to just go back to the same dish every time, even though it works, goes against their instincts. It goes against what brings them joy, which is to call plays and order this.
I know. Well, see,
this thing.
I don't doubt that's a very real thing. It's very human, right? Like I do not doubt that for a moment. But there's a very, very old football saying that I always reach for in times like this. Think Jimmys and Joes, not X's and O's. You don't want to focus on the plays. And Matt knows this. I'm not saying anything Matt doesn't know. It's like every coach knows this. Every play caller knows this. You want to focus on players, not plays. That's where you get production. That's where you get the best players involved, because you're focusing on, I got to get Aaron the ball. I got to get Romeo the ball. I got to get Christian the ball. Like you're thinking of those players rather than I got to call this screen or that angle route. That's what you want to focus on.
CZabe just wants to get mashed potatoes at Thanksgiving. That's all he wants.
He
He doesn't want any of the other things. He just wants that big old plate at Thanksgiving of just mashed potatoes. You got to get the cranberries, You got to get some turkey. You got to get some stuffing. You got to get a little bit of everything. You can't just get mashed potatoes, my man.
You're on the wrong food analogy. Have you ever been to a Cheesecake Factory?
Yes.
Oh man.
Have you ever seen their menu? Nagler, you know what I'm talking about.
I know what you're talking about. It's monster.
Too big.
It's
many pages.
Huge. Many pages, tiny print.
It is.
You're sitting there lost like a deer in headlights. Oh my God, what do I get? Oh, there's so many things here. Yeah, exactly. So just keep it simple. But I also think the fact that Dillon was a relatively high draft pick also makes it like, wow, we got to use him. If he was just another guy, then they keep him and only use him when he's a guy. Instead, he has a sort of a shine to him. We love him, by the way.
I think they know.
Of course.
They run him like he's more than a guy, though.
I think they know he's just kind of a guy. Am I wrong?
Well, I know this.
Here's my thing. Here's my thing with AJ, because I talked about this yesterday on our channel. I got a lot of people in my mentions during the game, after the game, blah blah blah, ripping on AJ, saying they got to find another second back, whatever. I'm begging those people to go back and watch the actual game, like the carries and the blocking, more importantly, that he had to work with on those carries. Every single one of them, right? Are there a few missteps? Yeah. The worst crime he committed was in that screenplay where it's perfectly set up. He should have at least ended up having a first down in that play and he gets tackled short. Like, I'm not excusing that. But on the actual carries, he did yeoman's work as far as there were plenty of times where there's a dude in his lap as he's taking the ball. And he turns what should have been a 1 or 2 yard loss into a 1 or 2 yard gain. And then you look at the stats and you're like, oh, he averaged 1.5 yards per carry. Well, yeah, he had guys literally in his lap as he's getting the ball at the mesh. Like, stop with this. I'm so sick of it.
So you brought up something that I want to ask, because everyone's happy. Everyone, and not to be Debbie Downer, but it has to be a question.
But you got to do it, buddy. Someone's got to do it. Let's go.
Right, but we have to bring this up. Like when you look at the game, and then Atlanta is coming up. Like everyone's looking at how good it was. But what is your takeaway as far as improvements that this Packer team needs to have, so that you don't lose one in Atlanta that you're supposed to win?
Oh yeah. I think the big one is you look. It's so funny. You talk about Jordan Love's performance and so much promise there, so much to get excited about, right? The completion percentage is something you want to see come up. There's no doubt about it. I will say though, it was kind of, I won't say interesting. It was fun to watch him like really take those shots like deep that he maybe, you'd like to see a little bit more efficiency as far as he had the deep one to Torre. I'm not sure what he saw there. There's definitely two safeties in the right corner and a safety in that area. There's the miscue with Musgrave up the left sideline where I'm pretty sure that's on Musgrave, but it's like that's just a product of two young players not having played a lot together, right? How they're seeing the coverage.
LaFleur said, LaFleur said they coach him up that if you're wide open, go vertical. It's easier to adjust flat once you're out there instead of going flat and adjusting vertical.
So it's like, but I don't mind those shots. This is what I'm talking about. Like, I don't mind taking that shot. I love that Jordan is comfortable enough and sees the read and it's like, yep, I'm going for it. But let's have a few more, like, take the easy checkdowns, which I think he did a lot. Like, I was very happy with that aspect of his game. But that's what's going to help you kind of avoid those 3 and outs, like the way the offense really stalled in that first half. Like, let's move the chains a little bit more. And I think that's the area where that will happen the more he plays and the more the offense plays together. And that's why it's so exciting. The man literally is holding the lead for touchdown passes and has the highest passer rating in the NFL coming out of week 1. And we're sitting here talking about this. So,
I love it.
I love
Coming up, Carry the G Radio, noon to 2. Yourself, Billy Schmid. What else do you got?
Wayne Larrivee may or may not be joining us today. I'm not entirely clear on that, but he will be joining us throughout the season. So that'll be a lot of fun. And look, I'm a lazy guy. I don't do a lot of prep. So tell your listeners, hey, the texting and talk line, call us. Let me know what's on your mind. We want to know. Noon to 2. I'm ready for it, Zay. I want to hear these Packers.
Your prep is living the Green Bay Packers 24/7, 365. You don't need no prep.
I was texting with Billy last night. I love not having to prep.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Okay. Thank you. Our conversation with Aaron Nagler brought to you by Miller Lite, Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin. There is a difference. And by Rodgers, behavior